Supernatural Season 15, Episode 9, The Trap. This, of course, was the mid-season premiere of the season. We have our second to last road so far, which is crazy to say, but the last time we will see that will be at the end of this season, and that will be the last time we ever see it, which is crazy. But this is my favorite episode of this entire season. I will mention the one thing that I hate. They said Benny was dead, and we didn't see Benny. I'm really hoping that's not the case. It's totally possible, but I mentioned this, which I don't know when I'm going to put up the reaction video, but I mentioned this during that. I was like, okay, it's possible that we won't see Benny, but I'm really hoping that they didn't throw that line in where it's like, oh yeah, he died because the other vampires didn't trust him, so they killed him. I would really hope they wouldn't end a character like that unnecessarily, because even if they couldn't get the actor back, and we got to see him in like the premonition before, and I even said it then, I was like, I hope that we see him again, and that wasn't the only time that he was able to show up. But that might be why he randomly showed up in that premonition, because it was just like, oh, well, this is the only way we can get him in there. Boom, it was the only time, he may have been available. So I'm hoping that's not the case, and my theory is that it's not. I think he's going to be in the show, because otherwise that's just a depressing thing to do for no reason. They wouldn't have to do it. They literally could have ended it where the guy was like, oh, I know who Benny is. Everyone knows who he is, but I don't know, where he's at. That's all they had to do, but instead they specifically had the guy be like, yeah, Benny's dead. His other vampires didn't trust him, and they killed him. And that was it. And I was like, that's an effed up thing to do for a character. It's sad, like, just in general. It's just like, why kill a character off just because you couldn't get the actor? So I feel like they did that specifically for us to think he's not dead. And I still hold, I'm really holding hope. Like, I could be totally wrong. I'm gonna hold on to hope, unlike Sam. I don't think Benny is dead, but that would be effed up if he was, and they killed him off for real. And I was like, they could have just done it where he was just somewhere in purgatory. So I'm hoping we see him and we find out that he's not actually dead. And if he is dead, I'm really hoping that he's with Jack and Billy. That would be awesome. So we'll see how that plays out, but that is my theory. I think they threw that in there just to be like, well, that sucks. Benny died and he kind of just died off screen, but they wouldn't have, there's no reason to actually do that when you could just say, we don't know where he is. And it's just like, oh, well, he could be alive and they could just see him later. Something like that. So we'll see how it plays out. But I'm hoping, like I said, unlike Sam, I still hold out hope. I'm going to hold out hope for that one. Probably right up until the series finale that we will still see Benny again. Because I think they threw that in there just to be like, yep, he's gone forever. But I think we'll see him again. Because otherwise, like I said, that's just an effed up thing to do. It's like, just say they don't know and just say like, all right, Benny's just somewhere in purgatory and that's all there is to it. But I want to be hopeful, especially in this particular case. I always liked Benny. I thought he was an interesting character. I like the fact that they referenced it was like, I wonder where Benny is. Like, he's probably the king of this place. That would be funny. And it was like Rowena died and she was the queen of hell, and Benny's been in purgatory and he's the king of purgatory. That would be pretty sweet. But love this whole episode. It was, as far as I'm concerned, this was an amazing episode. I loved everything on both sides. Oh man, I don't even know where to start. I think I'll save. You know what? I'll go with the Chuck stuff first, because technically that stuff won't happen. So it was almost like a what if type of thing. So I'll go with that, since the other stuff with Dean actually did happen and that's just set in stone. But the stuff with Chuck, where it's like, this is what's happening, this is what's going to happen in the future, you have the little stopwatch. That was amazing. I did not expect it to be that. I thought for sure it was going to be, these are like the different endings that I have for you guys. This is where I'm trying to figure out how to get you guys here. This is what may or may not happen. And instead, it was just Chuck being like, all right, I need to separate this little tether we have going on, because I'm stuck here. I'm weakened because of you, because you have hope. You having hope kind of keeps us tied together, because you use that gun thinking that it would stop me, and so that's kind of stuck inside of me as well, because you hold on to it. So we gotta get rid of that crap so I can take off. And then, probably come back a little later. So he starts showing him the future, and it's like, what will happen if you guys kind of beat me is this. And so he starts going through with the little stopwatch, and so it starts with the April 17th thing, and they go through, and it starts off with Claire is dead. That's like the first bad news that they get. Claire has died. And so it's like, all right, that was the first kind of hit. And so as they go forward, it's like, all right, you start to notice less and less people are around. We find out that Cass is gone. We find out that Eileen is gone. And then as things continue, Dean no longer has kind of the will to go on. He doesn't have that fighting spirit anymore. It's like, we've lost everyone that we care about. The monsters are getting stronger. And it's just sad. Bobby has a death wish. Donna's dead. Jody has a death wish. And now after Eileen, so do you. So Dean's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then, of course, they go back and forth. And then Sam's like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to hunt these vamps with or without you. And Dean's like, all right, clearly I don't have much of a choice and I'm not going to let my brother die. So I thought it was going to be, once again, this was going to be Dean dying. I thought it was really going to end with like Sam literally by himself. That's what I was thinking. And I knew in the trailer they had a scene where it was like Bobby about to kill Sam. So I was curious about that. I was like, all right, well, how does this play out? Because that's why I thought it was different versions at the end. I thought it was Chuck just being like, this is, kind of where I want to go for you guys. And it was just going to be, Sam and Dean dying for half an episode. Instead, it's them going along and with me thinking, oh, Sam will survive and then Dean will die, and it'll kind of leave Sam alone again, just, with even less people. It's going to be, what we find out is it's going to end up being that they both get turned. They don't get killed, they get turned. And so then they have to go up against their own friends. They have to go up against Bobby, and they have to go up against, the nameless people that die. And then, Jody as well. And they kill Dean kills Jody. And Bobby ends up killing Sam, and then that's when Sam wakes up at the end. And I was just like, that was insane. Like, I did not expect that to be the end, because I'm like, all right, so they're going through, and of course, you think it's just the same thing. Like, he did skip way ahead in time, but I was still just assuming, like, oh, they're just being chased by some demons, and they're, like, way outnumbered, which is something that happens. This was just going to be that time where they died. And then it was like, oh, snap. Like, as soon as they showed them on the stairs, like, I think it was before they showed them, it kind of clicked, and I was like, they didn't die. They got turned because, Chuck was like, oh, Dean, you should have trusted your gut. And then they showed him still alive. And I was like, huh, well, what's the thing? And then it was like right before they showed him, I was like, holy crap, they got turned. And then, they're turning into vampires. They look super silly with the mouths because it's so insanely dramatic. I think it's just been such a long time. But they just look super dramatic when they were doing it all the way. It was just like, it was just extra dramatic to me. So I was like, that's kind of funny to see because it's been a minute. But crazy scene. Like, they kill, like I said, they end up killing, Dean kills Jody, and then that's after, Jody shoots Sam, so he gets hit with a bullet. He's, like, weakened, it's kind of, like, going up his body, and he can't really do anything, so Jody gets killed, and then, here comes Bobby with the machete, chops his head off, and that, we don't even see if Dean ends up taking out Bobby, but I would assume he did, that, that's just my guess on that, but it doesn't really matter. It's like, this is what will happen if you trap me. And so, he kind of goes through and is like, you're focusing on the end thing where it's like, you guys get turned and then you die and stuff like that. But that's not kind of the newspaper headline here. Like, what is it? And it's like, it's the monsters. It's the fact that the monsters, for whatever reason, are just going nuts. Like, they're just crazy and they seem to be stronger. And it's like, yeah, if I'm taken down, if I'm either killed or trapped. Also, the thing with Cass, the mark thing, I didn't realize that was going to come into play at all. So that I knew was going to be, like, a big deal. Because I felt like they hadn't mentioned the mark at all before that. I don't think that we knew that was going to be a thing, or maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention. But I was like, all right, all this other stuff was them people dying and stuff, but I was like, that mark thing might actually come into play. But even that part ends up being stopped by the end of the episode. But I love how it was handled. It was like Chuck was just like, if you take me down, the monsters go crazy. And I was like, I don't really see how that works with him being trapped, because it's not like he's ever done anything to stop anybody anyway. So it's a weird thing, like him dying. They mentioned like all of creation would be messed up, so I was like, I kind of get that a little bit. That's like almost a natural balance. But him just being trapped, even though he'd be alive, I thought that was weird that would have any effect, but it does. And by the end, Sam does lose that hope, and that ends up freeing Chuck. And of course he knows if he crushes that orb, Cass will get that mark, and it'll drive him crazy, and they'll have to drop him in the ocean. And I was just like, man, that was insane. I just loved every part of that, even though none of it ends up happening. I was just like, all of this is amazing, even though I know it won't happen. And it was just good. It was just fun to watch, and I absolutely loved every single second of that. And then, of course, Sam has to give up at the end. He's like, I can't do it because we'll lose Cass, and then we'll just lose everyone else just for trapping him. We have to find another way to do it. So I love the way it was handled, and I love the ending where Sam was like, I believe what he showed me, and I still believe it. And then it was just like, well, that's good enough for me. And it's just like, it sucks, but hey, I trust you, and we just got to figure out what to do next. And that was pretty much it. So I love that half of the episode. And then, just in general, it's an amazing episode. But then, of course, the Purgatory thing. That was so good. That was the emotional hit of this episode. And I mentioned this in my reaction, but for those of you who have not watched the Crisis on Infinite Earths thing, it reminded me of a scene from that, and I won't get into spoilers for it. But there's another very emotional scene. I had like two really big like crying scenes in my shows this week, and it was like some real tear stuff, like this scene and the scene from the Crisis crossover. And I was like, man, Dean gets knocked out, Cass gets taken. A reference to Eve was made, which I thought was cool. I thought for sure, I was like, man, they're actually gonna show her, but they didn't have time for all the extra stuff. But Cass gets taken. Dean wakes up by himself, and it's like, oh crap, I have to find out where he is. So he has this moment where it's like, I don't know what's going to happen, because not only is he gone, but we're on a time limit. Like, I have to get back, because otherwise there's literally there's literally no way we can stop Chuck. Like, I have to go home to help Sam, and I just have to leave my brother here, my other brother here. So that moment where he just stops and he's like freaking out, and he like just slowly puts his hand on the tree, and he's like, I don't know if you can hear me, but I have to say this. And I thought that was an amazing scene. And he's crying. He's like, I don't know why I do that. Like, I get angry, and then it just, I just lash out at people. And he's like, I forgive you. He's like, of course I forgive you. And stuff like just that whole scene was absolutely amazing. And I truly love that scene. And he's just like, this could be it, because he's been captured. I don't know where he is, and I can't even go look for him. I have to say this in case I never see Cass, and I have to say that I'm sorry and that I love him, pretty much. So it was a fantastic scene. I love that scene, and then of course we find out that Cass was fine, and he actually even got the plant, and he's like, I have to tell you, he's like, I heard your prayer, and then it was like, like, we're good. And so I thought that was great. I thought it was a fantastic scene, because I even like when they were arguing earlier, because I thought they were gonna have that moment after the Leviathan came up on them, and they were talking about it, and then Cass was like, I was talking about Jack, and it was like, I already apologized to you, you just refused to listen. And then they kind of got into an argument again. I was like, oh, I thought it was going pretty smooth, right up until that moment where it was like the miscommunication. It was like, look, I told you I was sorry, you just didn't care when I said it. And he wasn't going to say it again. So I was like, he's standing firm. And they talk about how he left, and it was like, you pushed me away, and it's like, well, you didn't try to stay, and it's like, you didn't try to keep me here. So it was really cool. And then of course, when he feels like it's truly that last chance to say it, he said it, and he was he's crying and stuff, and I was like, such a good scene, such an amazing moment. So I love that. Like I said, that was the emotional, for sure, the emotional beat of the episode. That was the moment of the episode for me personally. But whole episode absolutely phenomenal, and then everything was amazing. Crying moment, fantastic. Purgatory, fantastic. No Benny, not fantastic, but we'll see. I'm gonna keep my hope alive. Crazy potential future if they stop Chuck, and now they have to figure out what to do next. And then we get the ending, and finally, which I cannot believe this was the end of the mid-season premiere, finally we have Jack and Billy again. I don't know what this means, but I'm excited, because Billy specifically said it's time, which means that she knew that wasn't going to happen, and she has some plan, which I mentioned this in my reaction video, and this didn't occur to me until after I watched the episode, but I would assume that God has a journal. I doubt he has like a trillion like Sam and Dean do, because of all the crazy stuff that they go through, but I would assume God has his own journal, because way back in like, I think it was season 4 before they actually got, maybe it was in season 5 when they got the ring from Death, but when they talked to him, it was like everyone gets reaped, including God. Like he said, someday God will be reaped, God will die. So now we have Billy doing that. She would have that journal if that's the case. It might be one singular journal, and they have to be very specific, otherwise they're screwed and God will just wipe out everything. Maybe not, I don't know yet, but that was really cool. Like, it was a very specific thing to say, like, all right, like some random line, but her specifically saying it's time means that she knew that they weren't, she knew everything that was going to go down. She knew that Sam wasn't going to do that, and they weren't going to trap God. They have some alternative solution, and I cannot wait to see what ends up happening, because that was another thing through all the visions, even this future thing, everything we've seen, there was no Jack. Ever. There is never a Jack in any of the premonitions. There was no Jack in this alternate future where it was like, if you trap me now, this is what happens. And maybe that's because it wouldn't have mattered because of the monster stuff going on. But no matter what, Jack was never a factor. I don't know if that means he's the key to saving everything or what the deal is. Obviously, he's, something there is going to be because of him. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I'm excited. They finally did it because every episode I'm just like, man, I really hope the end of this episode is that epic Jack tease where I'm like, here we go, like something, it's about to go down. Now it is. Had to wait till the freaking mid-season premiere to do it, but it's fine. It's finally here. I'm super happy. I can't wait to see what we're getting into next. It seems like the next episode is going to be mostly comedy. I hope that's not the case. I hope that's just like half the episode and then the other half, even if the main story is specifically with just Billy and Jack, that's fine because we've waited it hasn't been half the season, but we've waited a long time for them to show up at all. So if this next episode is strictly like they're the only ones that get like main story stuff, that's perfect. I'm totally fine with that because we've had Sam, Dean, and Kaz for 8 or 9 episodes now. So it's like, all right, if they're doing the funny stuff where, Dean's getting kicked in the nuts and his voice is super high pitched, they can do all that. I'll laugh my butt off. And then whatever's going on with Jack, we get some details on that. I'll be perfectly fine because I cannot wait to see what they do next with that because that's all I've been waiting for. Because I'm like, I know that's going to be the big play for this season. And we've had to wait for a minute to get it. But now I'm excited. So I'm looking forward to that. Of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And of course, I have to ask, since we finally got it, what are your predictions for what's going to happen with Jack and Billy? Like, what is the story? What's the play? What do you want to happen? What don't you want to have happen? I want to know everything you guys are thinking about this now that Jack is officially coming into play. Whatever Billy's going to tell him, which we probably won't hear her actually say the whole story because it would kind of spell out the whole season or the rest of it. But we'd love to know your predictions on that and just your feelings in general about that moment and the episode as a whole. Well, gonna have to edit this now. Sorry about that. My battery, of course, died on my light. It's like it's never a freaking. It's not my channel. If my camera doesn't die or the light doesn't go off, and I knew it was getting darker, I was like, man, I hope I can make it for this is the last review. I was like, I really hope I can make it, but because I was so excited, it's gonna be one of those reviews where I just have to edit because I love this episode too much to just redo it with less energy because I was just that excited talking about it. So, like I was saying, since I was literally in like the last 30 seconds of the freaking video before my light cut off. Want to know what you guys thought about this episode, and I definitely want to know your feelings, predictions, wants, don'ts, wants or don't wants. I don't. What you do want to happen, what you don't want to have happen, going into the future of this final. Unfortunately, still, it sucks to say that, but it is the final season. But we'll love to know your thoughts on this episode as a whole, predictions, hopes, nightmares, even. So, all in all, I want to know what you guys thought about this one. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.